Oh man, oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with another episode of Rants and Raves. Grab your beer, grab your drink, grab your coffee or your coffee cocktail. Mmm. Oh, chat. Chat. Ironbeard is literally about to be fuckered up. My mother and I, chat, my mother and I and my wee dwarven brother went out the other night and had dinner together. That's a little, family get together. And Ironbeard ordered a coffee martini. Believe it or not. I know, hard to believe, right? Ironbeard took a picture of that recipe and took it home with him. And we have reconcocted it with the wrong type of coffee rum into something better, into something stronger. And let me tell you, oh, 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 oh boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coffee stuff. Magnifique. So, last night I was doing some reviewing last night and this morning, today, whatever. And it occurred to me that I shared some very inappropriate things with you that probably needed elaborated on. So, tonight we will be elaborating a little bit after I change this to live chat, not top chat. I'm not that cool yet. So, lessons are learned. A lot of hard, valuable lessons have been learned. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Look, man. So I shared with you some very out of context things, and let me elaborate. And I share them on purpose because they're far more cringy for me than they are for you listening. I promise. Ironbeard, we don't have to know that your ex was a squirter, and it's a little inappropriate and out of pocket. You're right. You're right. You're right. But maybe you just had a kid, and your wife had her, insides pushed inside out, and this is your first son, your first daughter. Maybe there's a very awkward 2 or 3 folds that weren't there before, yeah? Maybe your husband recently contracted something, and now his wee-wee is all misshapen and weird looking until he gets off of antibiotics or whatever, right? Point is, uncomfortable things happen in relationships, especially to women, especially to women. Especially to women. In case you didn't catch that the first time, gentlemen, especially to women. There are conversations, and very awkward conversations, that we have to have. Conversations such as, we've been together for 3 years and I've definitely grown a gut, and I'm kind of feeling awkward, like maybe my little chubby chub isn't doing the work. Do you still enjoy the chubby chub? Or, look, I've given you 2, 3 kids and I'm feeling like I'm a bit of a fatty. Like, is my hoo-hoo still tight and wet like it was before we had our crotch trophies? There are very difficult conversations that you have to have in relationships. Period. End of story. There are going to be awkward conversations, and you have to have them, chat. You have to have the awkward conversations. You cannot get around it. If I had went, hey, X, I noticed ever since you got on your medication, you're not doing that hose thing-a-ling no more. and it's making me really self-conscious. Is there something I could do to change that? If I had had that conversation rather than going, well, maybe we should just try and spicy things up a little bit, add a little pepper, a little salt, little pepper, little salt. Instead of trying to spice things up, maybe the answer was a bit more simplistic, right? If I had initiated that conversation, that very awkward, hard conversation, maybe, just maybe, things would have worked out differently. We would have went down a very different road, perhaps. So hard conversations have to happen. I apologize. I am being summoned. Uh-oh, TikTok stuff. Anyways, doesn't matter. I'm getting distracted. My point is, in sharing that overly sensitive information that, TLDR, you didn't need to know, but you did, hard conversations must be had. Hard conversations must be had, and you have to have them. That was a realistic conversation that I could have had with my ex-girlfriend, which could have changed drastically the course of our relationship. And guess whose fault it was? Was it hers? No. Was she the man? Was she in masculine frame? Was she in any way, shape, or form in charge? No. I was. Oh, God. I fucking love you. You as the man have to initiate these conversations. You have to be able to recognize them when they happen, important turning points in your relationship, not only with your wife or your partner or your husband, if you're a female watching this, but with your kids. Hey, son, I noticed you started doing your own laundry. What's going on, buddy? Is there something you want to, talk about? Things like that. Things like that. They have to be discussed. Far more cringe for me than they are for you, I promise. Now, the picture on the screen is to put into context how fat I was at the end of our relationship. I was around 245. I was around 245 pounds, chap, when she left me. Another hard-learned lesson for those of you paying very close attention to the wisdom of Ironbeard. If you are fat, if you are broke, if you're a fucking loser, women will not care. Women already are designed to not care. Women already do not care as it is, or very little. You will push them over the edge and they will care no more if you are a fat, broke loser. Would you date, not would you boinky boink, would you date a chick who's 300 pounds plus? Probably not. Probably not. You'd sleep with her. You'd do the boinky boink. You would do the hoo-hoo. You would do the Shimona. You would do the boot scootin' boogie. For sure. Why? Because that's how you're designed. But would you give your resources to? Probably not. Why? Because it's fucking gross. Ew. It's 2022. Literally. There is no excuse for you not to have a gym membership or for you to be working out at home. What's right behind me? You saw it yesterday, chat. What's right behind me? A workout bench. Do I sit here and pump iron all day? Do the squats and all that? Fuck no. You know what I do on a daily basis, though? I do sit-ups and I walk. Every day. Almost it. Well, okay. Look. No cap. Almost every day. almost every day. Now, when I left Jerome, when I moved here, I haven't weighed myself recently, so I can't tell you what I am now. But when I left, I was an even 199. The first year and a half, I dropped 40 pounds. Huge, huge, huge. I was walking to and from Right Stuff from the middle of Jerome. I was walking up and down Blue Lakes, or not Blue Lakes, what is that? Kimberly Road, north to south, the road that goes, from the front of Twin Falls out toward Kimberly. That whole thing, I used to walk up and down that motherfucker twice, every day. Every day. Boy, a year and a half later, I was fit as shit, save for my grotesque gargoyle teeth. I can't tell you what I am now, but look, I ain't ripped, I ain't yoked. I got some boobs, okay? But your self-care is important. How seriously you take yourself is important. You can't be fat. You can't be broke, okay? When she left me in that picture, and this was a little while after the breakup, of course, but God, you see that stupid Peaky Blinders look I had going? God, ugh. What I did with my beard was just, I don't like that at all. But you could tell, woo, look at them buttons. Boy, look at them buttons. Them motherfuckers are, man, them fuckers are trying to hold on. I was a fatty, big fat with fat on the cob. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look at them look at them fucking sausages right there in that picture. Boy, look at that. Woo! I was a fatty. Boy, you can't be fat and you definitely can't be broke. She was paying all the bills, for 7 fucking years, chat. For 7 years. She bought me cigarettes for 7 years. She drove me around like a chauffeur for 7 years. When her friends asked, whoa, what does your man do? She had nothing good to say about me at all. Why? Because that's the path I went down. What else do you want me to say, bro? Sometimes in relationships and marriages, sometimes you hit dry spots, right? Sometimes you go without work. It is your job to make sure them dry spots are as scarce as possible. As minimal as possible. Women smell weakness. They know when men are faltering. They're really good at this. See, where men are very good at being logical, we're really, really bad at intuition in most cases, right? Oh. Women, on the other hand, are not so smart. Don't get in the fucking comments and start getting all cringy with me. There are lots of studies to support it. Go look them up yourself. I'm not going to provide you with every crumb for the ride along, okay? However, whereas women are not nearly as intellectually intelligent as men, by comparison, what they do have that we do not is what? Intuition. An intuition like no other. Most times. See, the unique difference between men and women is that women can make babies. Men cannot make babies. So what are men really good at? By default, we are really good at zug. We are really good at beating things up. Me big dick, me fuck, right? You pound your head against the wall until you're dead, because that makes perfect sense. Move the obstacle, yeah? Women are not so good at this, but what they are really good at is going, hey, you could go around the wall, buddy. Intuition. Hey, Zug, I don't think that other Zug over yonder is good for our family. Maybe you should Zug him. Okay, Zug. Right? And you fucking kill him. Or remove him, whatever the case is, right? Intuition, right? we give and take to each other. We're really good at some things and they're really good at some things, but we're built quite literally to complement each other. But that being said, you cannot be a lazy ass who shows no ambition. You cannot be a broke ass who has nothing to show for the results that he's had in his life up until said point. And you cannot be a loser. You cannot be a loser. Any of those three things you cannot be. Or even in worse off, any combination of, nonetheless, even one. But a loser. What do you stand up for? I mentioned briefly yesterday there was a scenario that popped up that I should have rocked the dude in the fucking face. If you haven't been familiar with that particular conversation, maybe you should go back to yesterday's video and go watch it and leave me some comments on what you think, aside from the fact that I've shared some very inappropriate things with you. Leave me some comments. Let me know. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you approve? What else would you like to hear me rant about? I don't know. Give me some ideas. What do you think? This channel is about home. This channel is about brotherhood. This channel is about self-growth and self-reflection and taking accountability. So what would you like to hear? I digress. We're going to go back. We're going to go back to that scenario. I should have rocked that dude in the face. But I didn't. Why? Because I was a chicken shit. And not that I was scared of him by any stretch of the imagination, but I simply didn't. I didn't care. I didn't stand up for anything. I didn't stand up for her, really, right? Like, I should have stood up for her, and like I said, just rock the dude in the fucking face and let whatever happened happen. Look, maybe the girlfriend, the ex's girlfriend, whatever, called the cops for me rocking her boyfriend in the fucking dome. Maybe he would have called the cops. Maybe nothing would have happened. Who knows? But something should have happened, right? But nothing happened because I was a loser. Okay? You got to stand for something. Oh. There are some very life-changing pieces of advice that you're going to encounter along your road. And I'm hoping with this 2 to 3 part, I'm going to try and leave it at 2. This 2-part humble beginnings here to kind of help put things into perspective for you in regards to why I'm sitting here in front of you right now. If I can give you some of those little nuggets, if I could, Mama Bird, give you that little, if I can give you that now, when you hop out of the nest and go fly on your own, you're not wondering where all the birds and the yum-yums at, right? You already know where it's at because you listened to Ironbeard and you opened your mouth for Ironbeard, and this is going down a road that I didn't intend it to, but you get my point. You ate the food. You ate your little niblets. Now you know a little bit more than what you would have had you not listened initially, and now you can make the appropriate choices, assuming you listened appropriately. Oh. If you don't know what I'm drinking, go check out the Instagram. I posted pictures there. You'll love it, I promise. It's fantastic. I learned a lot of very hard lessons. A lot. I learned that hard conversations must be had. They must be had, and they must be initiated by you. Assuming you're an intelligent, halfway intelligent individual who can have a little bit of foresight into his wife and family and kids and family, right? Hard conversations must be had. The second, complacency will kill you. Complacency will literally destroy your relationship. If you are ambitionless, if you have no gumption, no oomph, no direction, if there is no bullseye on anything whatsoever in your life beyond, I kind of got a job, and I kind of pay the bills, and everything's kind of okay for right now. If you are that guy, you are doomed. You are doomed. I promise. 7 years of marriage, 7 years of sleeping together regularly, 7 years of having sex regularly, 7 years of blood, sweat, and tears, literally, 7 years of secrets told to each other, 7 years of everything. Gone into the wind. And not for nothing, of course, it was for something, but all for nothing, right? Here I am. The end result was obviously not a positive one. Obviously. Beyond the lessons learned. I mean, okay, maybe that was the wrong term. So in an optimal sense, for nothing. Okay? You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that girl. You don't want to be that female. You don't want to be there. Because I promise, whenever you get to that point, like I was, it's going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt you a lot. One of the other hard-learned lessons. You cannot pour yourself entirely into a relationship as a man. I'm not a woman. I can't speak from a woman's perspective, but as a man, you have to come first. Now let me try and explain it a little bit. Let's pretend you're single right now. Okay? You're single right now. You're worried about you and your kids, and that's it. Or you're worried about you without your kids, and that's it. Whatever the case is. And a female comes along, and then all of a sudden you start texting every day, and you start calling every day, and all of a sudden she starts becoming a more bigger chunk of your life, as it should be, to an extent, right? But what you fail to miss out on is that somewhere along the line, as Rich Cooper calls it in his book, which I have on my shelf, the betatization through 1,000 concessions. Okay? And not just necessarily nagging, but you allow yourself to become betatized. You allow her to become the sole focus of your world. And you can never, ever, ever, ever do that. You will come before the kids. You will come before the wife. You and your needs will and should always come first. Bar none. Bar none. Now, that's not to say that everything else gets put on hold for your needs. That is not the same thing. That does not mean you go get your pack of cigarettes before you go get your wife a random bouquet of flowers to show her some random appreciation. That's not what that means. What that means is that your goals and your ambitions come before anything else. As it should be. That's how you keep masculine frame. You cannot allow a woman to become the sole focus of your universe. You cannot allow your fedora to tip even a little bit, sir. No, no. Hat on straight. No fedora tipping here today, sir. No. You come first. At all times. And you might be wondering why. Why? Because right now, again, assuming you're single, you and your plan to keep going, trying not to look like a fucking bum here, chat, don't mind me. You and your plans are what's keeping you going, right? You putting yourself first right now, you playing video games, you going and getting yum yum on a regular basis off of Tinder, Meet Me, POF. You putting aside savings to go get, to put some shit into your stocks, right? You pursuing your college degree and becoming wiser and smarter in the ways that you think are going to not only benefit you, but the people around you, right? Those are important. The world was built on the backs of men, not women. Not women. Very few. I apologize. Let me rephrase. The world was built on the backs of men and very, very, very few women. Your ancestors marched in sandal and barefoot across marsh, across forest, across desert, across rock, and conquered Men conquered territories, conquered the world with sword and shield and spear and bow. And here you sit on a fucking telephone in your car on your lunch break after your hard day of work with your half-hour allotted lunch and your 2 15-minute breaks, watching a fucking video on YouTube. Imagine thinking that you are even remotely close to being on that level. I'm not. I'm not for a second do I pretend that I was on that level or am or ever will be. The world was built on the backs of men, not women. You come first because the things that you do are what propel, protect, and provide for your family. That's why you come first. Women don't provide, not the same way as men, right? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to make more, or at least have the capability of making more than the average woman, because I'm willing to walk neck deep in human shit and clean out feces tanks, because I'm willing to go be a firefighter, because I'm willing to go be a cop, because I'm willing to go do strong, hard, laborious things that the average woman simply cannot and will not do. We are not equal. That's why you come first. That's why. But I didn't. I didn't put me first. I put her first. I put everything that she wanted first. To an extent. I was, of course, I don't take away. Do not for a minute think I'm taking away from my selfishness. That is not the case. But she was, for all intents and purposes, my whole world. Her and Glinda were my whole world. And I allowed it to get to that point. Because I was weak, because I was a simp, because I was beta, because I was not in my masculine frame. I can't be bothered now to ever put a woman on that pedestal ever again. Will not. Learn my lesson. Believe that. I will always come first. My needs, my wants will always come first before my wife's, before my kids, before my daughter. I will come first. Because my wants and needs are what puts bread on the table. My wants and needs are what put a dent in the universe. My wants and needs are what make this world go round. Not my daughter's wants and needs, not my wife's wants and needs, not my girlfriend's wants and needs, not my flavor of the month's wants and needs, not my family's wants and needs, mine. Mine. As the man, as the one with the cock and balls, mine are what keep a roof over you and my children's head. Mine are what put food in your mouth. Mine are what keeps this family safe. So no, I don't think equality exists. I don't think a woman should come first. I don't agree with happy wife, happy life. No, you have to have the hard conversations. You have to put yourself first at all times. At all times. You have to communicate effectively. And not just communicate, but communicate effectively, because there's a difference. I could tell you all day, hey, I've got an ingrown hair on my face. Hey, I've got an ingrown hair on my face. Parlez-vous ingrown hair on my face? I could tell you all day, but if I don't communicate effectively, you're not going to understand what I'm saying. If I don't point, use sign language, maybe sprechen Sie Deutsch. If I don't explain myself thoroughly enough and communicate effectively enough, I'm still communicating with you, but you're not understanding what I'm saying. You have to communicate effectively. You have to learn what your partner's love languages are. That is a part of the communication. My love language, specifically being myself and I, is touch. Bar none touch. Physical touch. And that's not... I have required all of my girlfriends to sleep naked. Each and every one of them. And it's a little bit of a sexual thing. I'm not going to cap. But the biggest part of it is feeling the flesh on top of me. Or not on top of me, but you know what I mean, next to me. It's a comfort thing. It's a warmth thing. I feel all of you in all of your oliviness. It's a comfort thing, right? My ex's was words of affirmation. She was very big on having sit down serious talks. She was very firm on the compliments. You know, she was very self-conscious when I had met her. And nothing lit her face up more than hearing, "You look beautiful today." Nothing lit her face up more than telling her, "Look, you did a good job on that haircut or that particular piece of makeup." Man, she loved it. I found that out too late. I found out a little too far too late what effective communication was. And effective communication doesn't necessarily mean that you're lying to each other. Don't get that confused. That is not the same thing as keeping secrets or not saying the same thing, right? Lying isn't just deliberately not telling the truth. It's also a failure to give up the whole truth. Make no mistake. A lie is a lie, regardless of what color you paint it. But that's not the same thing as a lack of communication. It goes with it, but it is not the same thing. You have to learn to communicate effectively. I remember one very specific time, a handful of specific times, we would sit there on the bed, her and I. I would come in after a day of playing Legion, World of Warcraft, the expansion Legion. Oh, God, good times. But I would come in at the end of the night, crawl into bed, and she would be laying there. And she'd feel me take my clothes off and crawl into bed. She would sit up, and she'd look at me, and she'd go, When will it go back to being just us, Ironbeard? And I says, and I look her dead in the face, and I says, I don't think it ever will. I had my head so far up my own ass and my own wants and my own selfish needs where I had no right to. I was a bum. I was a fat, broke loser. I had no authority in my own home whatsoever. By my own fault, by my own choosing, I did this to myself. And I looked this woman dead in the eyes as she sat there crying silently to my face because I refused to look her in the eyes because I was a spineless jellyfish bitch. I don't think it ever will. Embarrassing. Absolutely fucking embarrassing. And more importantly, our final lesson for the night, because I don't want this to drag on for a whole ass hour if I can help it. Speaking of which. Oh. Speaking of which. Our final lesson. Our final piece of nugget of wisdom for the night. I don't ever condone cheating. I don't ever think that it's necessarily okay. But men and women cheat for different reasons. Okay? For a man, I can be in love with a woman and go fuck 5 women in the same night. And come home and still make love to that woman, raise her children, raise our children, and move on as if nothing has changed. Because men and women are different. Our mentalities are different. Everything about us is different. And the most important factor between us is our mentalities. How I think is not how you think. For me, sex is not a definition of love. At all. For me, as a man, and I would even argue this on a biological level, not just a psychological one. A sharing of resources is my show of ambition and my gratitude and my love. I work very hard for my money. I told you guys last night in yesterday's video, I make around $12 a year right now, based off of my stock portfolio as it sits right now. And that's not a lot at all, but it's a fuck of a lot more than I was making 3 years ago, right? When she left me. In 3 years, I have came leaps and bounds, and I get to be very, very proud of that. That's something that no one can take away. Not my father, not my mother, not my brother, not some random hoe, not even my ex. But, with that being said, when I look at women, I don't see relationships per se. I see a fulfillment. Okay? And I think you know what I'm insinuating. I'm not trying to be terribly crude here if I can help it a little bit within my lack of filtration system. Sex doesn't mean love for me. I've worked hard to acquire my resources. I've done a lot of reading, a lot of research, a lot of time investment sink into my very minimal math skills as it is to make the appropriate choosing in which stocks to invest into to get to this point. I work very hard on a daily basis despite my health issues. I work very hard despite my mental health issues with being autistic and ADHD and having a hard time focusing. I work very, very hard in a very whole sense every day in everything I put myself into. I never half-assed anything. It's just not in me as a person. It bugs me when people don't thoroughly do research. It bothers me in World of Warcraft where, I've sat down and read and watched countless and countless and countless hours on Arms Warrior, PvP, stance dancing, runes, League of Legends, matchups, item matchups. I put in a lot of effort into everything I do, and it's beyond me that certain people just don't. And that's a part of my autism for sure. I don't doubt that, but it's not within me to not put in large amounts of effort into the things that I do. I'm very passionate about everything that I do. I am very sincere, and that's one thing I get to clap myself on the back for, is that Ironbeard has been a lot of terrible things in his life, but a liar isn't one of them. Insincere is not one of them, ever. No, you will always get the truth. You will always get my whole attention. That's just how I am. And my resources, therefore, are taken very, very, very seriously. My sex, whatever. I mean, fuck it. I come in you, whatever. Bing bong, pingling. We have a great time, whatever. No big deal. Love for most men has nothing to do with sex. It has everything to do with me sharing with you every hard-earned thing I have worked for in my life. My blood, sweat, and tears means my love. Not my cum, not my sex, not my cock, not a one-night stand, not the validation. That's not love. I can go get yum-yum from almost any woman I set my eyes on. You can ask anyone in the Discord, in my Discord. I have never once in my life ever had a problem with women. More so now in the last 3 years than ever. I have gotten more yum-yum in the last 3 fucking years than I ever have in my life. And furthermore, had the ability to. For several reasons. But that's its own rant. That's its own movie for another night. Sex for women, however, does equal love. See, because women, unlike men, can bear children. Women are biologically created a lot differently than men. Their mentalities are a lot different than men. So for women, sex equals love. In most cases, you'll be hard-pressed to find a sincere whore who is okay with living that kind of lifestyle. It's just not in most women. Up until recently. The OnlyFans, the multiple dating, short-term dating, the multiple long-term relationships where these women never sit down and heal in between their relationships, right? Someone's always got their attention. Doesn't matter. Sex means love for women. And more importantly than that, when women choose a man, no, let me rephrase that. When women love a man, they only see one man. When a man loves a woman, he provides for one woman. When a man loves a woman, he can go out and go sleep with multiple women at a night, come home and still love his own wife, his own kids, his own family, and think nothing of it. I don't justify it. I'm not telling you you should stay with a cheater, but I can give you a couple of reasons why you would. He pays the bills. You have a roof over your head. He's not sleeping with just anybody, 9 times out of 10. Men like that, men in that top 1%, men with that kind of caliber, normally just don't sleep with any female. So it's not like he's out whoring around, okay? He still provides for you. I'm not telling you you should stay with a cheater, ladies, but what I am telling you is that there are reasons why you would want to. Those types of men have options, and they will always exercise those options. You have 2 choices. Either you can turn a blind eye, assuming he's doing his job correctly and providing you with everything that you need, or you can leave and hope you can do better. Pro tip, you normally can't. I don't approve of it. I'm just saying, facts are facts. But what a lot of men don't understand, and this is the important part, what men don't understand is that unlike men, unlike us who live and breathe with chest, hair, cock, and balls, the opposite species, the opposite sex, do not view sex the same way as we do. No. No, sir. You go out on a date one night. You think you say all the right shit. You think you've put on all the right cologne. You think you wore the right shoes, man. You think you put your beard up in the right way. You go to dinner, movies. You come back to your place. You give her that 69 gawk gawk 3000. She gives you that 69 gawk gawk 3000, man. You boot, scoot, and boogie. And boy, at the end of the night, following morning, you're like, man, goddamn, I earned that. Truthfully, she's been thinking about that a lot longer than you have. When you finally get to boot, scoot, and boogie, she's given you permission in her head already when things go down the way they go down. Don't let no woman fool you. Things don't happen sporadically. Ever. In a species that can bear children off of one... oops. They're not sporadic in that particular area of choosing. I assure you, good sir. That was not a oops. That was not a oh yeah, I said the right things tonight. She done thought about it for a hot minute. Yes, sir. Unlike men, when women are in love, they only ever see one man. When men are in love, they see one family. Okay? They might see multiple women. They only see one family. Okay? Make no mistake, men don't share their resources with bimbos or tricks or dumb hoes. They'll fuck them. They won't pour resources into them. Women will not give losers babies. Up until recently, most women would not give a loser babies. If you're fat, if you're broke, if you're a loser, why would she have a baby with you? Why would she do her biological job in cooking and cleaning and giving you the Gawk Gawk 3000 and doing the things that she needs to do as a woman. Why would she do that for you, you fat, broke, dumb bitch? Why would she do that for you? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me. Is it because you take care of your beard the right way? Is it because you take care of your long, pretty hair the right way? Is it because you work out twice a week and you take the cool selfies of you doing this in the gym mirror? Oh yeah. Tell me, Gandalf the Grey, all wise and knowing, why she would pick you. Oh, that's right, she wouldn't. I apologize. When women are in love, they only ever see one man. When a man is in love, he only sees one family. I saw a lot of women when I was with my ex. I only ever saw one family. in my defense, in my very minimal defense, I might have seen a lot of women. I only ever saw one family. And for a long time, in her defense, she only ever saw me. Ain't that the damnedest thing? Here you go, honey. You got free reign. You can go boot, scoot, and boogie, gawk 3000, any other dude you want. Any one of them. Go for it. What did she tell me, chat? I really don't want to. In fact, when can it go back to being just us? Oh boy. Oh boy, doesn't that just hit you right in the fucking feels? Because I know it does me. Many, many, many years later. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Please. Please. Ironbeard begs you, please. Don't be a dumb fuck. There's a lot to be had. There's a lot of good things to be had in relationships. There's a lot of good things to be had in marriage. I promise. Far more good than bad. You just have to know how to see the red flags. You just have to know what to look for. Ladies and gentlemen. More gentlemen than ladies, because that's what this channel is kind of geared toward. But you have to be able to see, and more importantly, you have to want to see. Do you want to be divorced? And here's the itch of it, man. Here's the itch of it, chat. It doesn't matter if you've been married 10, 20, 30 years. It doesn't matter if you had one kid. It doesn't matter if you had 10 kids. If you are not within your masculine frame at all times, she will at the very, very least cheat, if not leave entirely. Ladies, if you do not do your job, I am not going to tell you he's going to leave. Most men will not. Most men will not leave their relationships. Despite his cheating, he will probably not leave. That's how you know the true marker of a very unsatisfied man. And even a sexually unsatisfied man will not leave his relationship. He'll just go get it elsewhere. You can view that however you want to in your mind. You can argue all you want to. You would rather be left and divorced than cheated on by your husbands. And that's your prerogative, and you're welcome to it. That's fine. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you should stay with a cheater, but I can give you some reasons why you would. However, the true marker of a woman not doing her job or is based on the man leaving. If a man leaves, you're doing something terribly wrong. Terribly wrong. However, that is not the case in most cases, as we've seen by divorce statistics, by divorce lawyer statistics, by the divorce rates statistics. You can go look them all up yourself, I promise. They are there. You go Google them. There's lots and lots and lots of sources. I know I've spent lots of hours reading up on these very specific topics I rant about, so don't sound like a dumb fuck to you. I promise these are things I'm passionate about and passionate about sharing with you because they have changed my life greatly, okay? Most women, that's like 98%, 95%, somewhere, it's very high. 98% of women initiate divorces. There's a 50% chance that a woman is going to dump you, leave you, divorce you. There's a further, it's like 78% chance that she will take you for everything you own. Your kids, your house, everything. Why would you tell me that, Ironbeard? Now I don't really want to get married anymore. You are the pivoting point as the man. You are the difference, not her. As long as you know what you're looking for, as long as you know what you're doing before you step into the boundaries of a relationship and the confines of a marriage, as long as you know what you're looking for and you're doing, you'll be fine. If you have any inkling, if you have any doubt whatsoever, then you should not do the thing. Obviously. But if you are, sure, if you are 100%, if you are certain, then as the man, you are the physical and mental and spiritual umbrella for your home. We were taught this very early on in leadership. Men are the umbrellas of their homes. Men are built with broader shoulders than women, both spiritually and physically, because we're built to carry more. There is no 50-50 in relationships. And most times it's 80-20. 80% of the time, men carry the bulk of the burden. 20% it is women. And that doesn't mean that you get to be an egotistical cunt about it. That doesn't mean you get to go, oh, well, I can go do whatever I want because I do the bulk of the work around here. That is not what that means. What that means is that you have a duty and a responsibility to your family, to your wife, your kids, and to yourself to be the best man you can be and to put the biggest dent in the universe that you possibly can, because that is what's being called of you. By all of you. By me, my brother, my father, my friends. You watching this, you have a job to do, and you will not, and you cannot escape it. You could run, you can fuck, you can snort, you can smoke, you can drink, you can fly off with the fairies, but you will never escape your duty. So I sincerely hope that this two-parter has helped bring some things into light for you. I hope some things have been explained further for you that weren't done yesterday to help put things into context. There are nitty-gritty, very ugly, realistic parts of relationships that people don't want to talk about, and we're talking about them. Because if I don't, you will fall in the same trap that I did, and you will lose. Everything. You will lose everything. The transformation that I had to make for myself was life-changing. If I didn't make this change, I would have died. I can't tell you the amount of times, well, I can, about a handful. I can count on one hand the amount of times I walked from my house and Roy's house while I lived there. 2:30 a.m. all the way down golf course. Took a left all the way down the canyon. I can't tell you how many times I walked to that bridge and looked out over the edge and gave it a good, long thought. My kid's gone. My woman's gone. The love of my life's gone. Every woman has dumped me up until this point. All but, my daughter's egg donor. Every woman has either left or cheated. I don't have my kid. I probably can't have any more kids. Who wants me? I'm a fat, broke loser. Wah, 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 wah. And here I sit before you. Because I had no other choice but to overcome it. And I'm not going to sit here and cap. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. A large chunk of that was my daughter. A large chunk of what kept me here was my daughter. Yes. But the biggest percentage, the biggest chunk of what kept me here was that selfish ambition I was talking to you about yesterday. What can I do to get her back? If I'm dead, I can't get her back. If I'm dead, God forbid, this old, nasty, bald fuck is gonna ruin her. He's a predator. He doesn't love her. He doesn't care about her. He's fucking twice her age, old enough to be her dad. He doesn't love her. He doesn't care about her. He doesn't want to give her kids and a family. Fuck, he gave up on his own. Who the fuck is he? Who the fuck are you? Sometimes that selfish ambition, that selfish need to get better, serves its purpose. Sometimes you need that. Whether it's to get the man of your dreams, the woman of your dreams, whether it's to get your ex back, whether it's to get your kid back because you're a fucking drug out, spun out addict, whether it's because you know in your heart of hearts it's something you have to do. Whatever your reason is, it's justified, and you have to do it. You have a duty to yourself and everyone around you to do it. So I hope this video has helped bring some context to bear for you. I hope some things have been explained a bit better, and I hope you learned something from 2 nights worth of ranting. Don't beat me. Don't have to learn a lot of this shit the hard way. Please. Free advice is worth the price you pay, I promise. Have a good night. Be safe. I love you. And I'll see you in the next video.